Thank you for your company on another episode of Always Be Connecting. If you're feeling a little burnt out, then maybe it's time that you think about habits over hustle. And today I am talking to the author of this book, Habits of High Performers, with the great James Laughlin. Hello, James. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, briefly, habits over hustle, what does that mean to you?
Well, there's such hustle culture and people like Gary Vaynerchuk telling us how hard we got to work and how many pieces of content we got to put out. I think it's all nonsense.
It's exhausting as well.
It is, and it doesn't work. So I believe that the sustainable high performers, people who perform above the line over and over and have good relationships, decent well-being, they're doing something different. And they're not hustlers. They're people who are creatures of habit.
Okay, interesting. I was watching your videos over the weekend, and I noticed in the back of your setup, you've got a picture of Nelson Mandela. Why him? What draws you to him?
Oh, I love it. I love the getting right into the detail. This is good. So I grew up in Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland still is, and very much back then was divided in Protestants and Catholics. A lot of violence, a lot of petrol bombing, lots of kneecappings. It was all over the news. It was a pretty interesting place to grow up. Nelson Mandela was a gentleman who came in and played a part in our peace process. And
Did he really?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we had this ceasefire in 1998, and Nelson and a few other leaders were impactful in informing that. So as a kid, I always like, who's this Nelson Mandela guy? So I geeked out on Nelson Mandela for years, read every book that was ever written by him and about him, started watching interviews. As I became an adult, I then reached out to his family, spent time with his grandson, who he raised.
Okay, wow.
Spent time with Zelda, who was his private secretary for 18 years. And then, of course, Francois Pinard. Everyone knows him as Matt Damon. So there's a movie called Invictus, and it's about Nelson Mandela and the captain of the Springboks, Francois Pinard, working together to bring people together as a country and unite South Africa. So I met with the real Matt Damon, who's Francois Pinard, and sat down and asked him about Nelson Mandela. And so I look at Nelson as someone who wasn't a saint, someone who did get it wrong in his early years, but who righted those wrongs. And to me, he's the epitome of a high-performing leader who was performing above the norms, but maintaining great relationships and well-being. So I looked at him as a bit of a pillar of leadership.
So what's the connection between Nelson Mandela and habits? What did you find out from your learnings of Nelson Mandela?
Absolute creature of habit. So 27 years in prison cell, 18 of those in Robben Island. He couldn't even stretch out long enough when he lay down on the floor to go to sleep. He was quite a tall man. So Nelson was very habitual. Would do the same things at the same time. With in the morning, he'd X amount of push-ups, sit-ups. He'd walk X amount of steps. When he came out of prison and did his long walk to freedom, every single morning he'd have hours of walking or running. He called it meditation. He read X amount of newspapers in a certain order. He ate in a certain way. And that allowed him to lead for as long as he led. So to me, he's an ultimate high performer.
And do you think there's a connection between high performers, habit, and that doing good in the world, providing value, doing good things? Or can it go either way? You can be a habitual villain. You can be a habitual saint. What's your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think there's the good and bad. I don't think there's any such thing as bad habits or good habits, but there's empowering habits and disempowering habits. And certainly I think in the world, we've got very habitual bad individuals who do things habitually. And you look at someone like Hitler, a creature of habit in terms of what he did, but horrific disempowering habits that was very negatively impactful in the world. So certainly I think, people can be high performing in a positive way or a negative way. I like to focus on the more positive.
Yeah, you're right. So what are bad habits versus good habits?
Yeah, I would say there's no such thing as a bad habit, but say disempowering habit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right, sure.
Because like my bad habit might be your good habit and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, I think it's kind of nuanced. So for me, a disempowering habit would be something that has a negative impact on you or others. So let's say alcohol. Drinking alcohol regularly, frequently, might seem like a empowering habit at the time and lets you take the load off and de-stress and connect. But actually, over time, it's a very disempowering habit. It's going to impact your health. It's maybe impact your relationships, your ability to drive, etc. So I think for everyone, it's different. And so it's just looking at your habits and taking stock. Well, what's serving me in a
Yeah.
positive or negative way?
This is something I've really sort of learnt in the last year. Like I had quite a tough 23 to 24. And in the last year, I've been really looking at self-care. And it's interesting how the more you practice that self-care element of things, the more clarity of who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it sort of comes about. So I sort of saw signs that you had that experience from giving up alcohol. What was your experience?
Yeah, so being an Irishman, I think people kind of go, "You're Irish, you must drink." And so I was that guy for a long time. I started drinking at like 13, 14, even at lunchtime at high school, I'd be going having a pint and a pie. Drinking was a big part of my life. When I was competing, I'd celebrate a championship or a world championship with a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
When I was losing,
These were all habits formed by your culture.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Very much so. And so for me, I got to a stage in my life where I was like, this doesn't feel good. I don't feel good in the morning. I'm spending a lot of money on this. I could probably perform better in my life and my relationships. I went through divorce. I was like, well, there's definitely consequences to having disempowering habits. And so my partner, Caroline, said, I'm going to do 1 year no beer. I said, that sucks. That sounds terrible. This was like around COVID. I'm like, good luck to that. I'll support you, but I don't want to do that. And then I slept on it. I thought, oof, like I totally justified why I shouldn't be giving up alcohol. There's something there. So I said, look, I'll do 1 year no beer as well.
And is that hard because of your culture? Because you grew up with, have a beer,
Definitely.
come down the pub, mate.
Yeah, totally. I was like James, the good times guy. And, with my clients, entertaining my clients, sometimes I have dignitaries, world leaders that I'm entertaining, and like it's champagne. So for me, it was all tied in around drinking. And I thought if I stop drinking, I'll lose my identity. If I stop drinking, it'll impact my business and social life negatively.
Yeah.
There was so much tied up in it. It was quite like intertwined. So for me, I guess it was just, let's try 1 year. And Caroline and I navigated it together. And first 4 weeks was tough in terms of it's just what I usually do.
Sure.
So I replaced it with tea. I became a tea fanatic.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we went to celebrate and get a bottle of champagne at the restaurant to celebrate 1 year no alcohol. And when the waiter came around, we looked at each other and I said, can I just get a Heineken Zero? And Caroline was like, yeah, I'll do the same. And we've done that every year since. Like, should we have a drink? Nah, I don't feel like it. And so we're 5.5 years or so in now and feel good and certainly hang out with people who drink. I've nothing against drinkers, but my life's just better without it.
So how do you feel about your identity, like before and after? Do you still feel like James? Because a lot of people associate themselves with the person that they know in the past. So do you still feel authentic, even though you've changed such an ingrained habit? Is that a challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a big transformation in terms of who I was. Like when Finn came along, my son, he's 9 and a bit now. Things changed for me then. And certainly as times went, went from one career to a very different career. And there's imposter syndrome around, well, I've always done this thing. How on earth can I do this thing over here? Like, who am I to think I can do that?
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time really self-doubting. And alcohol was the same thing. Like that's who I was. That's like central to a lot of my core memories. Alcohol were there. And so, yeah, there was a lot of self-work, a lot of introspection, journaling. But I think getting radically clear on what you do want. A lot of people live in the past, but we're not our past unless we choose to live there.
Yeah.
So I choose to learn from the past and go, geez, I screwed up there. Or that, I don't want to do that again. Or that was amazing. Let's do more of that. But I spend way more time in the future. I think you could talk to my family members and they would agree. I'm like, future focus. Where are we headed? How do we go there? And whilst we're going there, how do we be present? How do we be where our feet are?
It's interesting. The last episode that we did with Kathy Burke, we were talking about imposter syndrome and how there's a lot of great examples of imposters in movies.
Yeah.
So, for example, Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore, he comes to this new world as a hockey playing, likes to fight, and has to sort of adapt into the golf world. And he's really good at it. And he can always be seen as an imposter because he dresses different and he does some things differently. And I guess maybe that's the same as habits. Like you might always seem as an imposter drinking tea because you're Irish and you should be drinking a Guinness. Like the like it's maybe there's a reconciling of I can be this blackbird in a flock of white birds and it's okay.
100%. I think it's self-acceptance, just accepting who you are and who you choose to be. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're all choosing every day who we want to be. And I look at life, it's like your life, it's your days are your life in miniature. So like when you look at each day, it's like it's who you are. It's like it's who you're becoming. So I think we look at what we do day to day habitually, and that really shapes like who we become.
And do you look in the past and think, how did I get
Often. Often I journal like twice a day minimum. Like I love journaling. So I'm often journaling on what got me here and or something will come up in my mind like, oh man, that happened. Let's go back and like, why did that happen? How did that happen? What did I learn from that? So I do spend a lot of time reflecting. I think it's quite a cathartic process, but also I learn a lot from that as well.
Does that help you change your habits, the journaling? Is that part of sort of your process of adapting a new habit?
Definitely. So for me, habits, we've got to be able to measure the progress. And so I like to track habits. I like to reflect on how did I step up and perform in that habit today. And it's not always great. And so going to,
Sure. It's a wiggly journey, as
yeah,
I say.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So what other sort of like processes can you advise people on of like, okay, I want to change this habit. I want to become this person.
Number one, so like the first habit in Habits of High Performers, my recent book, is get radically clear. That's the most important habit of all. People, when they think of habits, get very tactical. They get down to, okay, a habit is exercise, a habit is journaling, a habit is meditating. Yes, that's true. But one of the strongest habits of the highest performers I've worked with is getting radically clear. And that's not a once in a lifetime thing. It's something we've got to do every day. So get radically clear on where you're headed. Get radically clear on why you're headed there. Get radically clear on how much you're willing to suffer to get that outcome.
Okay.
So those would be things I would say that in terms of a habit, get radically clear on what it is you want.
So what was your sort of process in maybe using the giving up alcohol as an example of like being radically clear and understanding? Remind me the three.
Yes.
Radically clear.
Get radically clear on what you want,
Yeah.
why you want it,
Yeah.
and how much you're willing to suffer to get it.
Okay.
So for me, getting radically clear on what I wanted was sober life, healthier life, mindset clarity. So the alcohol obviously had a big impact on that. So that's what I want to do for 1 year. So a specific time frame as well on that clarity.
Yeah.
And then why did I want it? So I wrote out on my phone all the reasons why. And it started with quite like vanity metrics. And a lot of us do that with habits. It was like, I want to lose a bit of weight. When I go on holiday, I want to feel a bit better when I'm jumping in the pool. I want to be able to move a bit quicker. I want to be able to like hang out with my friends and feel more energetic. And then it got deeper. It was like, you know what? If I become a granddad, I would love to be able to wrestle with my grandkids and at 70 take them to Fiji and have a great family holiday physically. I want to be deeply connected with my partner and be able to walk and talk and hike for decades. So it became much less vanity and much more like wholesome change. These were my whys.
Yeah.
So about 15 things written down. Then the last bit was how much am I willing to suffer? So that was, for me, suffering was not going to the pub because I knew if I went there, the temptation is there. So let's stop that for a month. Let's not go to the pub for a month and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Let's not have any alcohol in the house. For me, that was suffering because when people come around, you want to entertain them. What else? Suffering. Entertaining clients at client events. So about a month after I gave up alcohol, we had the former Prime Minister of New Zealand joining me and about 10 of my clients in Queenstown. And we were getting helicopters from where we were staying up onto the snow-capped mountains, landing there, getting bottles of champagne. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do that. To me, that was suffering. It's like, I want to be a part of that. That's what the cool kids are doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to avoid all those things, go through all those things. And I think when we have to change.
Sure. So you're forecasting the pain.
Yeah, totally. And there is pain. And some people don't like the word suffering. It could be sacrifice, could be a better word.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a lot of planning then.
totally.
You can't wing it.
Not at all. I think it's all about intentions, right? Like setting intentions. And I guess I spent a lot of time setting intentions for life, for business. Even for today, coming in here, my intention was to come in and be curious and lean in and be open. And so I think just leaning into intentions, and that it does take planning.
And alcohol, especially sort of the destructive habits, can also lean into addiction realm.
Of course.
What's the difference between addiction and habit?
Yes, I'm not an expert in addiction, but
Yeah.
certainly an addiction is something when you wake up, you think about it. An addiction is something that
Yeah,
if
right.
you're in a task that you're supposed to, let's say you're at work and all you're thinking about is that wine at 5 p.m., you've got some level of addiction. And so if you rely on substances, and it could be caffeine, it could be scrolling on your phone. Like I'm walking through Sydney.
Guilty.
My God, who isn't, right? Like everyone, we're all on a spectrum of that with our phones.
Yeah.
But walking through Sydney CBD today, I was blown away by how many people walked into one another because they're on
Yeah.
their damn phones. I'm like, get off your phone. Like
Sucked into
the
the
world's up here.
portal.
Absolutely.
People don't
So
people watch anymore.
it's crazy, right?
Sit and meditate and
Yeah,
watch what people are up to.
do the simple things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a habit to me is something that you do automatically without thinking about it. And I like to focus on those empowering habits. Takes about 66 days, according to the University College of London,
Okay.
to get a habit to the point of automaticity, the point that we're just doing it without thinking of it. So it's a couple of months. So we've got to do something at least for a couple of months.
Is it a good idea to stack your habits? Like if you want to get healthy, give up alcohol and start jogging in the morning and I don't know, brush your teeth twice a day.
Hopefully we're all doing that, right? Yeah, I don't think
one
we
and a
should.
half.
Yeah, exactly. They'll pick one on the way out. Don't pick more than one habit. Stick with one. Nail that. You know, if you've got to go to two, great. But most people are doing 4 and 5 habits. So they get a new gym membership. They stop eating carbs. Like how miserable. They, stop drinking alcohol. They give up caffeine, and they're getting up at 5 a.m. now. All of a sudden, say, well, that's a recipe for disaster.
Sure. And there's no replacing it with, you're taking all the fun things away and you're not replacing it with fun things.
Totally. Yeah, you've got to have joy in your life, right? And so I'd say pick one habit, nail it for a couple of months. You'll
Yeah.
get that to the automaticity point where you're just doing it. So you and I, we never leave the house without brushing our teeth. We just do it. You
Yeah.
don't think, oh, should I do it today? You just do it. So
Yeah.
getting our habits to that point takes 66 days on average. So do that.
Sure.
And then stack another one. So let's say it was meditating. So at 6 a.m., I'll get up and meditate. So you've done that for 66 days. Now it's just a habit. Then you go, well, the next thing I want to do is yoga. So stack that on after you're meditating. So your
Yeah.
meditating becomes your trigger for your yoga.
And as a parent and a manager, that's interesting of the toothbrush example because I'm brushing my 5-year-old's teeth
Yeah.
and creating that habit. So not just creating habits for yourself, but creating habits for people around you as well.
Totally. Yeah. As a leader, and as you say, I think parents are all leaders where we're leading our little ones. Yeah, it's not easy. And you are creating these habits. And often it's them watching what you're doing, going, oh, I should do that too. So often
Sure.
it's monkey see, monkey do.
So you can be more intentional with the habits you create for other people. So, for example, my 13-year-old is a few years away from adulthood. There are certain things that she needs to transition from and to, like me washing her clothes to her washing her clothes.
I like that. Most grown men could hear this as well, right? They would need to learn at some point. They're going to have to transition to washing their own clothes. Yeah, most men are not good at this stuff, you know?
Yeah, so it's interesting that being intentional and maybe even sitting down with her and writing that, okay, you're 13 to 16, becoming an adult habit plan
Yeah, 100%.
from here to
I
here.
think letting people figure out what those habits might be. You can talk about, hey, at 16, independently, this is what I think you could be and should be doing. How cool. What do you think the habits might need to be to get you there? And all of a sudden, she can start to brainstorm.
Yeah.
So they become her habits rather
Because
than
it has to, well, is there's an irony of me creating the habits for her to be independent.
totally 100%. And it's interesting with the book. So I had a book launch in Auckland a few weeks ago, and someone in the audience said, "Can I get another copy for my teenager? Is this applicable to teenagers?" I was like, "Oh, I'll give you a copy and you can let me know." So get about 3 or 4 days later, my teenager's halfway through the book. Oh my God, this is like exactly what all our teenagers need. Are you serious? I didn't write it for teenagers, but habits are habits, I guess. And, teenagers want to be high performing in whether it's academia, sport, socializing, whatever it might be. So yeah, I think it's applicable for both adults and teenagers.
And so going back to the beginning with Nelson Mandela, where did this all come from for you? Can you sort of identify some sort of tower moments in your life that led you to writing this book and being the person who delivers the value that you do to the
Well,
world?
thank you. Yeah, certainly. When I go back to 9 years of age, I was troublesome at school. I was fighting a lot. There's a lot of religious conflict even at school. And so,
Sure, even down to what football team you
of
support.
course, if you wear the wrong color jersey, I mean, you're getting an absolute hiding.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was an interesting experience. But my headmaster said to me at one point, "You can go to detention or you can have a set of drumsticks." I was like, "I'll take the drumsticks. That sounds awesome." But it was a competitive style of drumming where you could be adjudicated. And I decided, if I'm going to do this, I want to be Irish champion. And then when I won that, I thought, I want to be the world champion. Can I do that?
Okay.
So like from a young age, I was clear. That's
So you're manifesting. Yeah, yeah.
I spent a lot of time visualizing, read all of Tony Robbins' books, read a lot of NLP books around how we manage our mindset from a very young age
What was your why to do that?
to get out of Northern Ireland.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted a ticket. I wanted a way to explore the world.
Because of the exact time that you were growing up in Ireland.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I had an amazing family. Mum and dad were incredible parents. But I
Yeah.
wanted to get out from away all the conflict. I wanted to get as far away as possible. So I seen drumming. I thought, if I could be the world's best at this, maybe this is an opportunity. So I won the world solo championships at 13 and then again at 14. And I got two phone calls, one from Vancouver, Canada, and one from Christchurch, New Zealand. Both offered me opportunities to go and play drums.
And both cool places.
Really cool places.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to both and kind of did summer to summer. And Christchurch was amazing. They gave me a culture visa to teach drums. They wanted to become the first Kiwis to win the world championships.
Wow.
So I went down there.
So you really did print your own ticket to get out.
It was a long game, but in the end, yes. Yeah. So they became world champions in New Zealand, and that's when things got interesting. I started going, what else is out there? I was getting not bored, but I wasn't getting as much fulfillment from drums.
Yeah.
So local sports teams started engaging with me, and I started working with professional athletes, some of the All Blacks guys, working on the mindset and team culture, and then corporates as well started engaging after that. So it was very organic kind of transition. And the book, I'm not a writer, so I was never going to write a book. And someone at one,
No one's a writer until they're a writer.
well, that's true. Everyone does have a book in them, right? They say that, but I was like, I like speaking. Like I enjoy communicating. I'm not a writer, but I had a 2-day event called High Performance Leadership, and one of the individuals came over at the end and they said, "James, that's a book." I said, "What's a book?" Those 2 days, like you can't get 10 million people in this room. You can get 80. Write a book. Everyone could do what we just did. This was amazing. So I sat with it for a couple of years, thought about it. And then eventually I was like, actually, yeah, this is a book. And so I started writing. Took a long time, but got there eventually. And now here we have it.
And writing a book is a whole different discipline, hey?
Definitely. I found it tricky. It was, I tried to write it on planes and trains and it wasn't working at all. I wasn't forming any habit.
Sure.
It was horrific.
Did you find a man shed?
Pretty much. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So I got my little podcast studio at home, right?
Yeah.
So I get down there at 5 a.m. Coffee, decaf, of course, because I can't handle caffeine. And 5 a.m., 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours a morning. So I'd start January 1st. And I think by mid to late February, the book was largely written in terms of the content. And then it took a long time of editing. So HarperCollins had amazing editors that really helped me, both here in Australia and in New Zealand.
In the pre, post, middle, all of it?
Yeah, right from, yeah. So as soon as I got
good.
it was about 400 or 500 pages written, they then edited it and we got it down to 300-ish. And then it was just re-edit, refine, distill. I find that quite hard to distill a message down into just a word or a habit or So it was a really, really interesting process.
So, like, from your life stories, like, you can create the next iteration of you that you want to be and experience the world through changing that habit.
Yeah. Well, what you can hold in your head, you can hold in your hand. So, like these microphones that we're looking at right now, at one point, this was an idea in someone's head.
Yeah, it's
It never,
amazing, isn't it?
it's amazing. The chair that we're sitting on.
I love it going out. I went to the beach and like a plane goes overhead. So there's someone in a little plane and there's someone on a boat out and like everyone's doing experiencing their life
Yeah, their way.
in a different way. And like some more magnificently than others as well. Some are in the plane and some are walking the dog. Like there's different levels of habit, I guess, of how to get to the less beaten track.
100%. And I think that habits, they really separate high performers from everyone else. I often get asked, James, can you please help me or help my team become high performance? What's the difference between me and everyone else?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing.
But can you use your magic wand, please, so we don't have to
Hey,
actually
quick,
have
can
any
we download it? Yeah, to me, it's like they think it's hustle. Like high performance is hustle, and it's not. It's simply habits. And habits, if you look at high performance itself, it's not a birthright. Like nobody's born a high performer. It's
Yeah.
simply the same thing done over and over and over again. My clients are the best in golf, basketball, wealth advising. Like they do something so mundane over and over to the point where most humans would be like, I can't do that. This is driving me crazy. But people who
Yeah.
become the best at what they do, simple habits, and they just do them consistently.
So what's James's next iteration? What's your next phase in life? And what are the habits of that future James that you wanna
Well, there's probably two things. There's like on field and off field. So I think of like high performance as consistently exceeding the norms whilst maintaining healthy relationships and well-being. Not perfect relationships, not perfect well-being, but healthy. So for me, there's going to be two elements to that. So one, if I look at off field, my personal life, that's as I get into my 40s and 50s, is maintaining good health, strong body, a balanced mindset. Look at relationships, deep connection with my partner and my son. He's 9, but he's soon going to be 19. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I want to maintain that. So there's certain things and experiences and rituals and habits like eating around the dinner table with no digital technology, no TV,
So
talking about the day, playing cards after dinner. Those little habits will create the relationship I have with my partner and my son. So I'll continue to do that. Professionally, I work with a small number of CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and athletes, one-to-one. So less than 10 a year I'll work with. So that's not scalable. I don't intend to make that any bigger. I do a lot of keynotes and workshops, but again, I can only be in so many places. So the next focus is to take HPL, which is high performance leadership, and certify organizations. So let's say a small organization or even something like a Microsoft, they'll send their head of people or their HR leads. They'll work with me for a week. We'll certify them on what high performance looks like. And then they can go back to their teams and take them all through it so we can have high performing leadership teams. And that's the next big focus is from the book is to work on that. So that's the next kind of phase. That'll probably be the next 5 to 10 years of a focus. And I'd like that to be global and to see teams get the results they want without burnout, without people getting sick of what they're doing, without people disengaging with their work. They're all looking at AI. How can we use AI to be more productive? It's like, cut that crap out. AI is going to be here. We're all going to use it.
yeah.
But it's how are we using it? How do we feel when we go home? And we've seen, Caroline and I were at a cafe before we came here. And we've seen a young lady, and she was posing for a photo. And she was pouting her lips. And it made it look like she was having the best time. She had a mimosa in front of her at 2 p.m. on a Monday. She's like, it was a good life for the Instagram shot. But as soon as she put the phone away, she slumped and just went back to scrolling. I'm like, from the outside, from the photo, she looks like she's living a life.
Yeah.
But like when you look behind the scenes, and I see this a lot in organizations, people that are really unhappy. My hope with HPL is to have people go to their jobs, perform well, but have a great life off field as well.
Yeah, interesting. It sounds like that comes from visualizing an intention rather than anything sort of high performance or exertion or or burnout or trying too hard or trying to juggle all the things. It's if you can visualize it and if you can be intentional about the habits needed to be that person to do that thing, then the rest is easy.
You've nailed it. You've absolutely nailed it. And high performers simplify their way to success. They don't make it complex. High performers say no a lot.
Yeah.
They're happy to say no. I'm saying no to that social thing. I'm saying no to that client. I'm saying yes to this one thing. It's interesting. I had an interview with a magazine about 6 months ago. And the guy afterwards who was interviewing me went, whoa. He said, James, I was expecting to chat to you, the habits of high performers, like hustle, let's go, let's get to everything.
Up at 5 a.m., down the gym,
Yeah.
eating egg whites. Right. Yeah.
Totally. That's exactly what he was expecting. And he went, my God. You see, I feel relaxed after our conversation. I feel even more at ease. He's like, you're trying to tell me I just get clear on what I want, set some boundaries, and stay disciplined on a few things, I'll get what I want? Like, yeah. Like the facts will prove that. Yeah. But if you try to do more and more and more, you'll get affluenza and you'll fall apart. So get clear on what you do want, stick to it.
And then to end, I'm going to throw this question at you. So you might want to think for a bit, or you might know straight away. But what's your favorite Nelson Mandela quote or action or story?
So quote from Nelson Mandela, and this is actually an African proverb that he would use a lot. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So work with other people. That life is not a solo sport. Get off your phone. Get off your socials.
Look at people.
Yeah, spend time like this. Spend time around people. If you, for example, if an author's listening to this, think of 3 other authors that you could edify and promote and celebrate their great work. If you're a real estate agent listening to this, think of 3 other real estate agents in your region that you're going to just put a post up and say, yo, well done. That was epic. You deserve. Like, work together and look for co-opetition where we can still be competitors, but we can collaborate. So I think co-opetition is the way that we need to look at to succeed.
Yeah.
And Nelson was brilliant at that. He worked with his opposition. He worked with people that his party thought he should never do. And it was almost treasonous for him to work with the government when he was still in prison. But he realized like we've got to go together if we want to go far. So certainly I think Nelson right now would be saying, eyes up, get off your devices, start spending more time with each other.
That's beautiful. Lovely. And if people want the book, if people want to contact you, if you want to talk about other things that you do.
Oh, thank you. So if anybody wants to get Habits of High Performers, they can get it on Amazon here in Australia. Lots of good bookstores. Certainly we were at debunks George Street and they had lots in stock and I went and popped in and signed some. So if anybody wants a signed copy, there'll be a few there. They can get in touch with me through my socials on LinkedIn. So it's just James Laughlin, same on Instagram. Lead on Purpose is the podcast where I interview prime ministers, presidents, Formula One teams.
Yeah, a great YouTube channel I was watching
Thank
at the weekend.
And the other thing, actually, my team said before I come on, if anybody wants a high performance planner for free, they can just go to jjlaughlin.com/planner. And
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get 6. 1 for me, 1 for my daughter.
Love it. Do it.
1 for my friends. Yeah, everyone.
No, it's been such a joy to connect with you. So thanks a million.
No, thanks. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. I think everyone should get a lot out of that. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.